Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Gollum's Gamers, where today we are back with yet another very spicy emergency podcast. Because, as I'm sure you are all aware, there have been some major leaks of information about the armies of the Lord of the Rings and the armies of the Hobbit books that are coming out in a couple of weeks' time. It's covered basically every corner of the SBG internet at this point. It's everywhere out there. There are so many profiles that we have now seen that there's no way we could go through all of them today. So we've just picked out some key things to discuss about most of the factions from the new books. That's what we're going to be doing. But for the Spotify listener, tonight I'm joined by Sam and Adam. As always, you can find us on Instagram and Spotify by following the links in the description down below. And please, if you do enjoy all of the MESBG content that we make here on YouTube, please do subscribe to us. That'd be much appreciated. So, with all that said, I did want to start by touching on something that has definitely got the community talking at the moment, I would say, which is about the list building kind of as a whole. These Legendary Legion kind of style lists, the way that you go about building lists is quite constrained, some people say, and some people are a fan of that, some people aren't. So if you haven't seen our previous emergency podcast where we run through these lists and how they look, you can go and check that out. But what do you guys think kind of about army list building as a whole in the new edition?
I personally am more. I quite liked being able to have the freedom to take weird and wonderful things, whether it's a Yellow Alliance or stuff previously. Not to say that I don't like. I'm happy to take green lists and stuff like that, but it's definitely more restrictive than I personally would have liked. I think it's also more of a case of that a lot of the lists that have been and the profiles that have been leaked currently, I don't really want to use, or something hasn't really grabbed my attention that much, which is again maybe why I'm probably got more of a dislike to it than I would. So I'm not gonna say it's a flat out, like I think I just need to see profiles which I am more enticed by to use. So it's definitely 50-50, I think, for people currently.
Yeah, it's one thing worth noting. So there has been a screenshot of the rule book. There's a little kind of note in here about allies. They've put like a small little box about allies, and I wanted to read that out because it's quite interesting to kind of hear their perspective. So they've said in previous versions of the strategy battle game, players were able to ally factions together to form the alliances we see in the films. However, in this edition, this is no longer the case, and army lists cannot ally with each other. This is because the army lists presented should cover all of the factions and alliances we see in the films, allowing players to simply pick the army list for the scenes they wish to represent. It also stops factions allying together and then using characters together that never fought alongside one another due to timelines or specific events, even though their factions did. So I understand, obviously, there's a huge percentage of the player base that want to recreate scenes from the films and use those lists, and that's obviously the direction that they've gone with these changes. I guess those people could have still done that in the previous edition, and then also people like myself who like thinking, oh, what if I were to use this army with this army? How would that be? Like, I like those two armies in Lord of the Rings as a whole, so just being able to use those together is quite cool. But now in the new edition, I don't have that option, so both parties were, I guess, kind of happy previously, but obviously now there's maybe a certain camp of people that like to, doing more unique things and, trying, oh, this with that and kind of, trying to spice things up. And now those people can't do that in the new edition. So it's a little bit disappointing. It's just interesting that they've addressed that directly in the rule book. So what do you think, Adam? What are your thoughts?
So when I first saw all the leaks, I was a little bit disappointed because it looks very, very limited and prescriptive. However, the more you dig down into it, I think what's going to happen is there's going to be this sort of essentially 65-ish, between 60 and 70 legendary legions, essentially.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, there's just sort of normal lists.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see that when we go through the profiles. For example, you could take Dwarven Hold as a group where you probably won't get a bonus, or you can take Army of Thrall, where they do get some little bonuses here and there,
That's
but
like
then
the
probably
Legion.
taking much smaller lists, like
Yeah.
a Legion. Exactly.
That's what I wanted to ask you guys about, like where they've kind of grouped, like the Dwarven holds. Like, do we think that's just a way they're grouping it in the book for the sake of the book having some, order to it, or could that
Potentially.
be a list? Yeah, like we don't
I
really
think it's
know.
got to see until the book comes out. Yeah,
Yeah,
realistically, I think I don't really want to judge it too much currently until I see the Armies of Middle Earth book. I think that's gonna add a lot. However, the
Yeah.
only problem with that is we don't know when it's coming out. Could be months and months. So it's just a bit of a weird period, I think, at the moment. So
yeah.
I don't want to be too negative about it, but
No, no. That's another thing to mention as well. I mean, for anyone that doesn't know, so after the two armies books come out, there's then a armies of Middle Earth book that will come out at a later date, which will have all the profiles for the models that we don't see in any of the films. So everything we've seen so far is actually in the film at some point. So the first few months of the edition is going to be, lots of profiles like the Dragon Emperor, Glorfindel, lots of these kinds of profiles that aren't featured in a big way in the films that aren't going to be in the game. So that's definitely going to be kind of an interesting period. We don't know how long that's going to be either. So, but yeah, so it's interesting. The community is definitely split somewhat at the moment, but until we actually start playing, we don't know exactly how it's all going to pan out. So, but okay, I guess we should maybe start by talking about some of the profiles. We're not going to be showing any of these things, unfortunately, just trying to stay careful in that respect. But yeah, we're just going to discuss the profiles. So we thought we'd kick things off with some of the new profiles. I mean, so because obviously there's with the film, there's all of the new Rohan stuff and the Dunland stuff. So we already talked about some of the Dunland stuff, I think, on our previous emoji pod. So we're going to focus on some of the Rohan stuff. So, I mean, who wanted to kick us off in terms of like models that stand out? Like I said, we're not going to go through everything in this episode. There's just far too much. But I'm really looking at the like of the Rohan stuff to begin with. What do we think?
Oh, Sam, I haven't actually read the Rohan stuff.
There's so
I'll be
much.
honest, I also haven't that much. However, I do know that the Wraith of the Hornburg list is meant to be, I think, one of the more exciting ones from a competitive play, and obviously that has Helm Hammerhand, the Wraith of the Hornburg in. So he's 180 points, fight 7, shoot value 5, strength 6, I think it is. Yeah, D5, 3 wounds, courage 3, intelligence 5, 331. Has the horn, so I don't not the normal horn hand.
Yeah.
Once per game, start of any move phase, Helm can unleash a fearsome blow of the horn of the hammer hand. Until the end phase of the turn, enemy models within 24 inches of Helm suffer a -1 penalty to courage tests. So can be quite useful depending on the list you're playing against. Challenge, strike, and strength for heroics. Burly and dominant 4, really nice. Fearless, mighty blow as well. I'm assuming mighty blow is the same.
I think it is. Yeah, I
As
think
last time.
I think it is from looking at
He is never considered to be unarmed, which is good.
Yeah.
+1 to wound. What's his war gear?
He doesn't have any.
He doesn't have any. Oh, in the
Got his mighty fist, doesn't he?
Light armor and horn of the hammer.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
He's just I'm assuming +1 to wound with his fists, basically. Pretty chad.
Yeah.
And then he can never be your general, even if he's the highest tier. And he can never call a stand fast, or he can never call stand fast, and friendly models cannot benefit from any heroic action declared by him, which is very odd. Not good for a 180 point model.
Yeah.
And Berserk Rage, he must charge if he can, and he gains terror when he does charge to the end of the turn, and he may declare a free combat in the fight phase.
If he charges, yeah.
If he charges, yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I've noticed in lots of profiles. They're now putting lots of conditions on having charged. So you get to call a free combat if you've charged, or you get this bonus if you charge. So yeah, there's more, I guess, weight on move offs.
Do we know if move offs are going to be the same? Because priorities change, and there is a lot of emphasis on these moves. We'll see later when we look at Hunter Orcs, but there's a hell of a lot talking about if you charge, as you just said. So do we think moves might change?
I think maybe it's just a condition of it gives a harder decision even then to think about what you want to do with priority. Because if you're giving all these buffs for charging and although say if you even have terror, say if you're playing a terror frontline list but then you also have these buffs for charging, what is more beneficial? These charging into combat and getting your special rule, or them failing courage tests and playing the game that way. So I don't mind it if you're going to change the priority rule, play into a little bit more, which they are doing with these rules.
Yeah, they are.
So it's interesting. I don't know whether they'll change move offs because again, could it make the game more swingy if all these rules for charging is so beneficial? Then move offs are even more crucial to what they already were.
They are already such a big, game.
So, I mean, I think this profile for 180 points isn't amazing, personally.
Yeah.
I also don't think he has +1 to wound. I've just looked at it. So he's strength 6 basic, burly. He doesn't have, I mean, that doesn't mean you get +1. You only get the burly +1 when you've got a double-handed weapon, which he doesn't.
So why would he have burly? I don't know.
So, well, I think the choice...
Burly's changed, that's all.
So burly also is to do with objects.
Oh, yeah, of course. Right. Yeah. So maybe
and so the options were give him either +1 and strength 4 or make him strength 6. I think strength 6 is good because when you're being hurled at or anything like that, you're less affected. So I think they're just trying to model that on there.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's true.
There's also in the Legendary Legion list. So friendly Rohan infantry gain the dominant 2 special rule. That's a very nice buff.
I think that's why it's sparked interest because that rule is so good.
Yeah,
so good
rule. Friendly Rohan warriors can reroll 1s to wound when making strikes. So again, we're seeing fainting kind of being put into almost every list in some capacity. And then at the start of the end phase of a turn in which Helm Hammerhand kills an enemy hero or monster, enemy models within 3 inches of Helm must take a courage test in an order chosen by Helm's controlling player. If the test is failed, the model must move up to its move value directly away from Helm. So we talked about that on our previous pod as well. But yeah, that's just a pretty crazy sort of rule that you could pull out if you kill a hero, say, on an objective last turn or something in a really crucial turn. That's really good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I think I'll be running some of this list. I'm going to paint up some of this stuff from the new box, and yeah, this one looks really good. So I guess as well, we've got the other Helm Hammerhand profile, the normal Helm, which I'm pretty sure is going to be using the Helm Hammerhand model that we have currently, the mounted one, because so they're keeping that model, which is good because I do like that model. I was concerned that they were just going to get rid of it. But this one just has a free combat baseline. He's 3s across the board, strength 5, so it's quite similar to the other one. Are there any changes with this one?
He's fight 6.
He's fight 6, yeah, sure.
Also, he's strength 5, defense 7, compared to
was the other one
sort of the other way around. The other one was strength 6, defense 5.
Yeah. Sorry, I meant from the current Helm Hammerhand profile.
Oh, right.
Because I think the current one is
fight value
5d7. Yeah, and the fight 6 is
and also 3 fate now.
Yeah,
previously wasn't he 1?
Oh, was he?
He was 1 fate normally.
Gotcha. But was he 160? And obviously with the horse, he's 185.
I think he's 175.
Oh, okay. All right.
So he's
off memory.
He's benefited, I think.
But it's hard to, sort of when there's a theme throughout lots of these profiles where I would say, oh, that now costs this many more points. Every list is kind of in that boat. There has just been an inflation on points across the board. So it might seem that I'm paying more, but so is everyone. So
I think he's actually better because he's stayed similar points, but he's gained some buffs. Like he's gained a fight value buff. His horn is better. He's got 2 more fate. Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. So that is the Helm Hammerhand profile that we use, the old model. I guess moving on, another big sort of hero that lots of people have been talking about is Hera, the Bride of Death. This is a very interesting profile. Sam, go on. I'll let you kick this one off.
Yeah, I don't like this profile, how it's made, personally. It's basically take the skeleton of Rutabi and slap on some good rules onto a model that is a new model, basically. So it's fight 6, strength 4, D5, but she takes shield, so D6.
Yeah.
3 attacks, 3 wounds, courage 4, intelligence 4, 3s across the board. And then for Might or Fate, strike, defense, and challenge. So some decent heroics. Fearless, good. Unyielding combat stance, good.
Really good.
Enemy models engaged in combat with her cannot declare a strike, which I mean, it's an interesting rule. It does make there's not a lot of, and I guess magic is only, I guess, counterplay towards her if
Mm.
you know, because
Monsters.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
yeah, but then in a turn which Hera charges, she must reroll any fail to wound rolls when making strikes. So I think it's the fact she's 130 points for a fight six,
The shield. Yeah.
charges in, can strike herself, can't be countered, and then rerolls anything anyway. It's a pretty good profile.
130 points. That is very good.
She's
Yeah.
very naughty.
She's very good. I mean, I guess the thought is because you can take this version of Hera, the Bride of Death, in the Defenders of the Hornburg list. I guess it's, can you take her outside of that at all? Like, this could be the one sort of list that she is used in.
Yeah.
Do they need to make her quite good to make the list viable? Maybe, but yeah, they have made her very, very good.
Yeah, it's a good profile. I don't know. It's just so hard to tell where they're going to come in the. I assume people will use this model for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's a nice model.
I'm buying it.
It even has retarded. No, it has the Emperor stance. The legs and like the cloak at the back is so dragon.
Oh yeah, to be fair, you're not wrong. Yeah, they put up a Warhammer Community poster.
Yeah.
We don't know when it's coming out. It's not coming out at launch, so I wonder how long after lots of this stuff is going to come out. Not sure.
Yeah, good model though.
Yeah. I guess
Yeah.
Adam, was there anything you want to say on her?
No, I like the fact that there are two profiles for her. So there's sort of generic Hera, which we can look at in sec, and then there's this souped up. I mean, none of us have seen the film, but I'm imagining this is when she goes like nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's the normal Hera as well. Yeah, which has like an interesting horse, 12-inch horse, woodland creature, for only 70 points, 90 with the horse. So, I think also another one that looks quite good is Halith, which does come in the starter set, the mounted guy. He's fight 6, strength 4, d6, 3-2-1 for Might Will Fate. He's got strike. He's 125 points with the horse, and whenever he's outnumbered in combat, he rerolls to wound when making strike. So, charge into 2, you're killing, combating, you're killing another. So for 125 points, he's also pretty good, I think, as well. Pretty good value.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. And is he in this Defenders? No, he's not, but I'm pretty sure there's another. There's an Army of Edoras list. And in this one is where you take the Helm Hammerhand who's mounted. And then you can take him, Hammer as well, who's another one that comes in the starter set, who's the guy with the bow.
Yeah.
So he's also pretty good. 70 points, 90 on a horse. He's got the new sharpshooter rule. What is the sharpshooter rule again?
So you can choose to shoot a mount or up top on a cav model and stuff like that. So you don't have to roll in the ways for it and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's sort of like Leggy's rule, but not. Like, it gives you the ability to snipe out horses, and you don't need to take it in the way for horse or rider.
Yeah, but you still have to take in the ways 4 models in the way of
in the way. Yeah.
But
obviously it's heroes who have this, so they have might, essentially. And if you can, even if you've got to spend 2 might to get it done, it's really big. And we've seen that quite a lot. Lots of heroes are sort of having this sharpshooter rule if they have a bow.
Yeah.
So they are pretty cool. I guess the last one to maybe touch on for the new Rohan stuff is this Leaf hero.
Yes.
He seems pretty good. Go on, Sam. Do you wanna see that one?
Yeah, again, a buffing piece of sorts.
Yeah.
So he's only fight 3, strength, shoot value 4, strength 3, d4, 1 attack, 2 wounds, 7 courage and 7 intelligence, 1/5/1 for will. So basically, the will comes into play where he basically spends a point of will at the end of his movement activation. And as long as he's not engaged in combat, he can pick one of the following orders, and it'll last to the end of the turn. And each one can only be used once per game.
Yeah.
So it's first one is friendly Rohan models in 3 may declare a heroic combat for free, which is pretty good.
Nice.
Next one, Rohan models in 3 gain the fearless rule. The next one is Rohan models within 3 do not suffer -1 penalty to hit for moving and shooting, and may re-roll fail to hit rolls as well.
Yeah.
Then another one, he gets woodland creature within 3 inches and mountain dweller for Rohan models. And the other one is within 3, they can increase their move value by 2, which is quite interesting.
This guy's useful in nearly every stage of the game.
Well, they've given him, and I really like that they've done that. They haven't sort of given him one lane and that he's only useful for that. And if your list isn't trying to do that, well, then he's not useful. Like they've given him a buff that affects every aspect of the game. So the fact that you can only use each one once isn't that big a deal, because I think it's cool that the skill ceiling with using him is finding the best times to use each one. And if you can plan for that throughout your game to move him around with your troops where the buffs will affect things, in the right situations, that's,
Yeah.
he seems pretty cool.
So he's courage 7+, so you kind of got to use all of them before you break.
It's really weird. The last one's really odd, I find. The
two
models within 3 increase their move value by 2, because you have to end his movement first, then the effect takes place. So
it's to it's not to sort of have your whole list and move them up faster. I guess it's if you need to try and get to an objective or something like that, or to tag someone off.
Yeah, that's something you would assume that Leaf would be with your list, and most likely behind your line, because he's a buffing piece, and then he would kind of stand there and then not move or finish his move, and then those guys would move 8 essentially afterwards. So you can't move forward. You can't go somewhere because then it won't affect anything. It's a bit of a weird. I think it's only a late game.
Yeah, they're trying to make him. And if anything, I think it's kind of cool that, because obviously we've had someone like, say, Círdan, that just sits there and doesn't really do anything, but you can be more reactive and, making decisions with him to, benefit other things in the game rather than just sat there and you give a 6-inch buff kind of deal.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Yeah. So he's 50 points, and then you can take a horse as well. Not sure how useful that is. I don't know, but
his defense as well is nice.
Yeah, defense is So
it's a really, really fun profile.
Interesting rule. Yeah, I like that they're trying. There's a theme amongst lots of this new stuff that they're really trying some new rules, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's creative, isn't it? That's what we enjoy. We like decisions.
Yeah, new stuff. So it's really cool. Okay, so that was all of these new Rohan stuff that we were going to look at. So let's move on. I thought I'd put at the start here some dwarves for Adam. He has been very excited about the dwarves, the information that we have learned. So Army of Thrall. Adam, did you have any key takeaways from the Army of Thrall sort of profiles you've seen and such?
Yeah, so just had a quick look through, and they look pretty similar to how they were before. Dwalin's finally made it to fight 6, young Dwalin. He's got similar rules. I mean, all the rules are very, very similar.
Yeah.
Everything has gone up in points. So the warriors and the heroes, the warriors have gone up by points. Otherwise, completely unchanged. And the Grimhammers have gained hatred, or is it ancient enemies? One of the two. Ancient enemies, not just Gundabad orc, but it just says orc. So that's pretty handy.
Yeah, just orc overall. But they have to 2-hand now, though, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can only take 1/3 of your army as Grimhammers, right? Because they've got throwing weapons.
Is that right? So, yeah.
But I think the biggest hit to the dwarves is the fact that the Arabor captain, which was the cheapest captain at 60 points, a staple in the list, is now 75 points. It's gone up by 15 points for your cheapest hero with March, because he's gained an attack. So gaining attack is cool, but he's still equally mighty. It's kind of like there's a bit of a tax on everything. But I think what we'll notice is overall, all the armies have taken a bit of a hit. So maybe it's in line with that.
I think the lists that are going to have, so like Madril, for example, is he 55 points at the moment? Is he 55? So he's gone up to 6, but he's still essentially Madril as he is now. So I think the profiles, because everything's going up in points, but the profiles that maybe only get a 5-point increase, but they don't take a nerf, those are going to be more of those profiles you can have in a list are ones that are going to be better. Because like you say, if you're getting 15-point increases across the board throughout most of your list, compared to another list that's only getting small increases and is keeping much of the same sort of tech and things, then obviously you're at a disadvantage in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think dwarf lists. So for example, at Ardacon, I took a 650 point army and I got 44 models.
mm-hmm.
Right. I think what's going to happen now is because all the heroes are going up by 10 to 20 points. So Thror, Thrain, and Thorin are all going up by 10 points. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Young Dwarven and the others, they're all going up. So I think what you'll notice is that combined with the warrior costs means that will probably drop by about 7 models overall.
Yeah. Any dwarven thoughts from you, Sam, on Army of Thor before we move on?
Do young Dwarven have 3 attacks base normally? Or was he 2?
He used to have 3. Now he's got 2 plus 1, so still 3.
Yeah. so he used to have 3 to 4.
No, he used to have 3. But he used to be 5/5. Now he's 5/6.
Okay. And he couldn't increase his attacks.
Nope.
So
but what he could do, he was fearless, and he could do that thing where if you spear support him, he could be quite handy into fight 3, because what he could do was decrease by D3 to automatically reroll to wound. Now it's a random roll.
Yeah. On a 5.
On a 5. But a 2 to 4, he gets something. I can't remember what it is.
2 to 4, nothing happens, and the combat proceeds as normal. However, on a 1, Dwarven reduces fight value by D3 before the duel takes place.
Yeah. So
happens.
I mean, yeah. I'll continue to play my dwarves, but we'll see how. I mean, let's see how it goes. I mean, we don't know what the scenarios are going to be like. They could be more killy. We don't know if they change it.
Yeah, I think the 2-handed for Mattox is the biggest thing here. I think the rest of it is fairly unchanged, and they will be all right.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so moving on, I guess, to some Arabor reclaimed with some more dwarves here. So that we've got a few hero profiles here. So any thoughts? Kind of, I know Gloin, the ginger one, Sam, a good friend of yours, is looking very tasty, isn't he?
Well, so basically, Gloin is now 100 points. However, when he kind of like Gorbag, when he charges 2, he gets a 4th attack. The problem is that he is 2-handed and doesn't have Burly. So the only way to make it not horrendous is you just need to roll a 6, because any natural 6 stays as a 6 for this edition.
Yeah.
So if you roll a 6 on 4 dice, it's more likely than not, isn't it? It's like 52% or something. So it's pretty good. Like, I think he's one of the better ones for 100 points. He's still
You're more like. Are you more likely to kill compared to 3 attacks Burly? I don't know.
Is it like you're more? He's
+1 anyway, because you'd be 2-handed.
Yeah, it's just basically, do you roll the 6? If you roll the 6, it stays as a 6, because that's just everything's getting the broadsword rule now.
Yeah.
So I think the 4 attacks is key. 3 attacks is then below 50%. It's a little bit less likely, but I like Gloin. I like that profile. I think Thorin. So Gloin's got up by 10. Thorin is an interesting pick now, because him on a goat was 125. He now has no goat, but is 130. However, I don't mind the change. I think it's actually better, in my opinion.
He's fight 7 as well.
He's fight 7. He keeps his free hurt combat. He now has March,
when he charges, though. But yeah, he's got March. Oh, I hadn't noticed that. That's cool.
Yeah,
pretty good.
So he has March, which is huge, and his banner was only affecting Arabor reclaimed heroes, like, Dubakar was only for basically the champions previously.
Yeah.
And it was 6 inches. Now it's only 3, however, affects all dwarf models.
Sure.
Which is better, affects warriors, I think. So yeah, I think having fight 7 is really key, I think.
Yeah.
And it has a baked-in banner. So you could argue it's an actual banner. Oh no, it's not an actual banner, but as in, like, it affects warriors. So maybe 20 points if you say that it doesn't count towards VPs or something. So I think it's good value still. I think he's going to be standard.
I think it's nice, actually, that so we're seeing lots of heroes losing their horses or their mount, whatever it is. And I don't mind it too much, only because there could be times where, say, you get dismounted really early on in a game or in a really key, a really key time in the game, and you're really upset, or but now if you just start on foot, you just sort of know going into it, and then there's no disappointment when you have to take out your dismount. It's a very sad moment when you have to get your dismount.
Yeah.
Now you just go into it, and there's no kind of down.
Yeah, yeah.
It removes some flexibility from like what you can do, which is a bit of a shame. But I don't mind the profile because he becomes overall, I think, a good piece. I think he'll guarantee taking every time. And like
He becomes all round, doesn't he? Because if he goes March and he counts the banner to everything within 3, it's like that scene from the film where he leads the charge out from the Lonely Mountain, right? And it's like him in the middle. He's like a buffing piece around him. He's marching forwards rather than basically just bannering himself, which is what he did in the current edition.
Yeah.
So,
I think him. So like stuff like Nori. I think Nori's also winning big because Nori was. I think Nori was 80 points.
Yeah.
So Nori is actually 75 now, and it's gone down by 5 points.
Yeah.
However, he's still 5/5. He still has 3 attacks. He's now defense 9, not defense 8.
Crazy.
I think he's 2/2/2. So
yeah,
same increases one by one will and one fate. He has weapons master, so can never be unarmed, whatever. And there's like a rule where if he picks up a relic, if he's holding an objective or relic, he basically becomes a super Chad and rerolls all fail to wounds and stuff. But for 75 points, having a 5/5 straightforward D9 3 attack hero, I think he's definitely way better. I think he's better now than he was last edition by far. And it's a bit of a shame like Dory has become worse, but like Oin is better because a lot of them basically have two-handed, but they're still -1. But I think Ori makes it so those ones within 6 or 3 don't become -1. They're just two-handed flat. So it's interesting. I think they want you to run it as more of a Champions of Arabor together, essentially. But there's a few key ones like Gloin, like Nori and Thorin, which I think will be go-tos for when it comes to actual just list building, personally.
Troops. Yeah. I guess one thing to mention here before we move on is about the Dwarf Kings.
This is
very interesting what they've done, and I really like that they've reworked the profiles in this way. So essentially, what they've done not only for the Dwarf Kings but for the Kings of Men and things as well. So all these king profiles is that. So I guess I'll read out the rules. So this particular one there, the Dwarf King is fight 6, strength 4, D8, 2 attacks, 2 wounds. He's 2/2/2 across the board. He has March and Resolve, and then special rules. Dwarven Lord. So a Dwarf King will always have the faction keyword of the most common type of dwarf model in the same army. So if the majority of friendly dwarf models have the Arabor keyword, then the Dwarf King will also have the Arabor keyword. A Dwarf King will gain a special rule depending on the keyword that they have, as listed below. So for Arabor, this model gains the Ancient Enemies Orc special rule. For Iron Hills, this model gains the Fearless special rule. And for Khazad-dûm, this model gains Throwing Weapons. So they sort of slot one profile into 3 different lists, essentially, in one nice clean, and it's laid out very clearly. I just think the way that they've approached it and laid it all out on the page is just really, really good.
Yeah, it adds flavour, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think the Iron Hills one is definitely the best out of all 3.
Yeah.
It's interesting to know that Iron Hills on the so Iron Hills dwarfs are basically the same profile. There's not been any change regarding fight value, strength. They're all basically the same. Dane is more points, as the classic everything is. He's now 160 base, 25 for a boar, so he's actually 25 points more expensive. He is fight 7, but apart from that, he's untouched.
Yeah.
So, I think that's fair. I think that's a fair move. Does he still have the 4-up Master of Battle?
We
don't know the army list, though, do we?
Not currently. The captain has a 5+ still.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know about Dane.
We don't know the Legendary Legion, do we?
No. I think
there is an Iron Hills one. It gives you +1/-1 in reinforcements.
Yes.
I don't remember seeing the 4+ Master Battle, but I could be wrong on that.
I think it's the 5, or is it a 5 in his profile? Sorry.
No, he gets the knock prone. He gets the headbutt on a 5+, but
He does get Master Battle in the Legion in the army list.
it might be that then. I'll get
Yeah,
it then.
yeah, he does. Yeah, he gets it there. So I mean, we can talk about the Iron Hill stuff now quickly since we kind of started on it. Sam, you said about the Dane, didn't you?
Yeah, so he's just 25 points more expensive with Fight 7. Like I said, the dwarfs, they're the same. You can choose their shield and spear for 12 points or a crossbow for 12 points. Basically the same thing as last edition, or not current edition, sorry. So maybe should have been Fight 5. I don't know. Maybe they've done a wee bit dirty if they're the same as, don't know.
Very similar.
I don't really know the whole lore. Is an Iron Hill's best person better at fighting than a Minas Tirith warrior? God
Maybe
knows.
not.
Clearly not. But I don't know whether that's a bad decision. I have to let people in the comments down below let me know whether that's dog shit or not. But it's there. It is what it is. I have no real sad opinions about it. It is.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Have either of you two read about the ballista or the chariot? I haven't, so I don't know if
I have not.
no. I haven't heard anyone talking about it, so I don't know if there's many big changes with it. I don't think there is.
I think it's the same.
Yeah. So they maybe just kind of cleaned up some of the rules because there's a lot less rules on the chariot. So maybe they've.
Am I right in thinking Iron Hills are one of the only warrior types not to be increased in points?
Yeah, near enough.
Interesting. Because they did seem a little bit expensive, but not like if they come up by a point, then I think that'd be in line with everything else. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that they've stayed put. And I'm not sure if the goats have changed. They look pretty much the same.
Goats are the exact same.
Yeah.
20 points, same profile. The captain is still, I think it's still 90 points with the goat, or we might not be able to take a goat actually.
The captain cannot take a goat now. No,
80 base, right?
Yeah, 80.
But he has 5+ Master Battle, so that is basically the same thing. He's basically the same profile, just can't take a war goat.
Yeah.
So yeah, apart from that, it's pretty standard. The Iron Hills, I think they've survived.
But again,
they have survived.
Legion sort of list as well with other buffs and things. So
yeah.
Okay, so I guess moving on then. So next up here we have Minas Tirith. So was there anything that stood out to either of you two about sort of the changes to say like Boromir or Faramir as we kick things off?
Faramir's a lot better, isn't he?
Faramir's a goat.
Faramir is looking pretty chatty.
Faramir, a lot of legions with him that in are he's just way better in. Faramir is just going to be a good choice, I think, regardless now. Has his 3 attacks, and yeah, the profile just looks way more appealing, doesn't it?
Yeah,
he's got some really cool special rules, doesn't he? So let's go through those. So should armies sorry, I'm going to read out what it's actually called. One sec. A chance for Faramir, captain of Gondor, to show his quality. And the special rule is exactly that. So we've got, should Faramir's army be broken? Not the army, it's his army. Right? Then from that point onwards, Faramir may re-roll failed to wound rolls. I think I'm doing really well here given the quality of this image.
Yeah, it is. It is terrible.
When making strikes. Additionally, so re-roll wounding, okay, from then on. So it's not like a one turn.
Yeah.
Additionally, should Faramir's army be broken, which is the same condition, then Faramir may declare a heroic resolve each turn for free. And heroic resolve isn't just to do with magic, is it?
No, it was something else, but I don't remember.
I can't remember what it was.
I think it's something to do with courage tests as well.
Oh,
might be reroll. I don't remember.
Because I think the crown. The crown now does something where it says all fearless models no longer are fearless to charge it, except those who are under the effect of heroic resolve.
Oh, does it? Oh, right. Okay, sure. So maybe it's something to do with.
So yeah, interesting. And then Wizard's pupil, while Faramir is alive and on the battlefield, if you win the roll to choose who has priority, I'm really clutching here. And give priority to your opponent. Then until the end of the turn, Faramir and friendly warrior models within 3 inches gain the dominant 2 special rule. This is something we're starting to see a little bit more of, right? This whole dominant thing.
Yeah,
it's very good.
Yeah,
that's pretty handy. So late game, if you need to just hold some objectives, it has to be within 3 inches though.
Well, hopefully, if you have Boromir and Faramir, you have more might than them. They're out of might. You choose them to have priority. Then you just call a move anyway. Call a move Faramir, then you're dominant, and you still get to move.
Yeah. It's also just looking at some other things in the profile, like he's 3 attacks, he's only 2 wounds, 2 faith, 332, sorry. He's 125 points if you take him with a horse and shield, meaning he'd be D6. Or you can take away his bow, and you give him heavy armor, so it'd be D7 for free. Now, sorry, if you were to exchange the armor and bow for heavy armor, like it says there, for free, then you can't.
And then you give him a shield as well, so No,
but you can only pick one though, can't you? That's the whole.
No, but you could exchange it for heavy armor and then give him the shield. So he would go to D7.
As I understand it, you can't do that. You can only take.
I think it's one of.
Yeah, you can only take one. I'm pretty sure.
That's not. No, that can't be right. You can give him a horse and shield.
Oh, can you?
The model of him on horse is with shield as well, right?
Oh, sure. I thought you had to pick. I thought it was that you could only take one of each war gear. You can only.
I assume you could take all of it.
No. I think you might be right, Elliot, but when it's something like it says horse and shield, it's quite clear you can probably take both.
But then why can't you take on, say, like a warrior model's profile? You can't take spear shield when it lists.
Because in the warrior profile it says each warrior must take one of the following.
So is it different for? It might be different.
It's different on
different warriors, sure.
So when you look at Eowyn, for example, she can pick like 4 different things, and you're probably taking the throwing spears, the shield, Merry,
Maybe it's just with warriors then, And you also got resistance to magic and the sharpshooter rule for. So obviously maybe you don't want to get rid of the bow because that's.
I think the bow's good for him. Yeah, sharpshooter. I think something that is also very good in conjunction with the next probably profile we'll talk about is leader Citadel Guard. And you combine that with Irolas, who has the rule, friendly Citadel Guard within 3 inches of Irolas gain a bonus of +1 to wound when making strikes. That becomes really good. That gives Minas Tirith killing power and
reroll and +1.
Yeah. So Irolas, he loses March, has defense. But he's still fight 5, 2. He's 2-1-2, which is a very weird stat line, as in Might or Fate.
Yeah.
Strength 4, D6, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, courage 6, intelligence 6. And he can also take Citadel Guard within his warband. So it actually gives. It's kind of like Thranduil's Halls for Minas Tirith, where you just have a bubble of +1 to wound that can go around and try and chew and break a hole through lines and stuff. Like it gives Minas Tirith more killing power than it previously had. And he still has this. He still has the shield punch in the face with a shield kind of rule, where he gets the strength 4 hit if he wins the fight. Yeah. So
I'm just wondering, am I being thick here? I can't remember there's that many Citadel Guard in the film, but I think they're going to grace the tabletops quite a lot, right?
There'll be a lot of Citadel Guard.
Yeah. Because obviously the Fountain Court are no longer D7, so they are not the.
And they're 2 points more than Citadel Guard now.
Yeah.
Citadel Guard are goated now, I think.
Yeah. But actually, to be fair, if you pay for the spear, there's 1 point difference for a defense and bodyguard.
Yeah, I think people will be seeing a lot of them on the table for sure, and I think Irolas, Faramir, and Boromir will accompany them.
Also, I wanted to mention as well, because we talked about Faramir, is that one of the lists, the Osgiliath, like Legion reclaiming Osgiliath, Oz and Faramir looks really, really good. So they can share each other's resources.
Yeah.
Inches of each other. Really cool. So you've got, say, 9 might, because Boromir still has loads of might. So you've got 9 might, obviously sharing the will and the fate within 3 inches of each other. So they're running around as a pair. And also once per game, you have a special rule that you can use where you get +1 to wound within 6 inches of Boromir on all your troops. So again, that's like a 1 turn, heavy power.
Is Irolas in that list?
Oh, that's a good point. I'm not sure.
I don't think so, because I don't remember him there.
I'm not sure.
+2 to wound on some Citadel Guard.
That would be. And there was also Um, oh yeah, no, that was it. I think yeah. So that list looks really really good. Boromir is also looking pretty crazy, isn't he?
Yeah, he gets +1 to win, is it?
Yeah, yeah. So he gets +1. The banners um has an interesting rule now where if you tie
You
fight
just
back,
win.
you sort of win. So it's like
I don't like that personally. I don't like that rule.
yeah, it's like your troops are, the whole point is that if you're playing an army that's like tied fight value, that you have these roll offs, and now they sort of just get a rule that they win.
Yeah, but it's like a slightly less powerful version of what it was, right? Because previously it was just a +1. Now it's like a plus 0.99999.
But the problem is that the currently seems to be more fight for than last time.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now Minas Tirith reach fight for. That is so now you're instantly beating Iron Hills, you're instantly beating Arabor, you're instantly beating now Mordor if they charge with the Morannons, getting fight for. All these lists that are now having this is really good, like really, really good against. It's only elves and Numenor, right?
Yeah, but previously they went to fight 5 with the Rangers and all that.
Yeah, but then
So it's the same.
In a sense, yeah.
The fact you can spam more though, like the Rangers are a soft. They create a weakness in your list when you take Rangers.
Yeah, but let's be fair. A lot of people took like 10 or 15.
Oh yeah, you'd still max, but
Battling Core.
it just I think this mechanic feels bad to play against. I think that's why.
I think the only difference, genuinely, the only difference is now the basic troops are fight 4. So it means it's more army wide, not specific in pockets.
Yeah.
Mm.
But then I think that also.
But it still loses to elves, whereas previously it tied to elves.
Yeah.
So I think that's good.
This just feels like a win more. I don't know. Just like a. I think this is going to be. People will find this annoying to play against more so than the other banner. I think this is just going to. This is just going to. Although it might not be better, I feel like it's more vexing.
Sure.
As a rule. I don't know why, but I just think it is.
Well, yeah, but it's vexing when you play against an elf player who just constantly rolls 6s, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like it's the only. It's just such a weird rule that I don't know. I don't know.
But I think it's correct because now they don't have a bonus against fight 5 infantry, whereas previously they did. So, yeah, I think overall it's slightly debuffed, but because the basic warriors are now fight 4, it means it's just a blanket buff.
And then I guess finally on Minas Tirith, we could touch on Gandalf the White. Lots of people were anticipating his changes and things. What do we think on him?
I like him.
Yeah, it's better.
He's now 3 attacks.
Yep.
3 attacks.
Yeah,
yeah, he's just awesome, isn't he? Yeah, Glamdring's the same. He's just the same, isn't he?
5/6 3 attacks. And his spells are good.
He lost Compel, which I'm a little bit sad about.
I think every one of Gandalf has lost Compel though. Grey has also lost Compel.
Oh, he's Gandalf the White. Like, why does he not have Compel? I don't know. It feels odd, but yeah.
Sorcerer's Blast is on a 5. Didn't it used to be on a 4?
Yes,
it was. Yeah, and it is worse. I think Sorcerer's Blasters won't be used if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, it's just worse.
Transfix is on a 3.
Pippin as the passenger, which is really really cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can now, they made the model, but you can use use it in that way. So, yeah,
resistant to magic as well. It's a good rule to have.
Yeah,
and you can spend Pippin's Might Wolf Fate
and reroll 1s. The classic.
Yeah,
I feel like a third of the profiles are getting that.
Yeah, and he's also less points. So,
I think he's good,
and he's got the Legion now as well, the atop the walls. So,
which looks brilliant.
We will see some more Gandalf. Yeah, I am hoping to use him at some point. So, okay, I guess moving on to the Gundabad things next, which I'm going to try and hold myself back on because
oh my god,
I have all this stuff. I love this faction. So, I guess so. Looking at say like Azog and Bolg first to begin with. So some key sort of things. So you can't take the Warg and heavy armor, so you can't have the Warg and be D7, so it's like Pits of Doggle Door almost. There's no resource sharing between Azog and the Warg now, which kind of makes me think, why even have the might on the Warg and make him be so expensive then? Because sure, you can dismount and have a really good Warg. It's almost like, do you just make him cheaper and just give him 3 might? Because if you want him, and you can make the Warg cheaper as well, so you can just have him mounted and just have 3 might. I guess you can dismount and have 2 really good profiles, but sure. The 3+ for wounding heroes is only when natural. If it's a natural 3+, the amount of ones you roll when you roll that will surprise you. So, what do you think on Azog, Adam? With the
it's been mega nerfed, and also the Warg only has 2 might. But the main thing, of course, not being able to share. That's so big. In general, he's been nerfed. I was hoping he'd be like not fight 7, which he is, actually go down to like fight 6 or something and give buffs to the models around him, which he doesn't. I think in general, I think he's disappointing. However, the rules for Gundabad army are pretty awesome. They include such things as no such thing as a signal tower, but we're going to give the bonuses to the army. So there's the Horn of Gorgoroth, which I think is a 1 turn only. Yeah. Is it -1 or -2 courage?
It's +2 courage.
+2, yeah.
For you, and then -2 to your opponent for courage tests.
Oh, and that's bonkers when you break, isn't it?
So that is pretty good.
But then you've got the other horn, like you've got the other banner. So you've got the 6-up save, which stayed the same. You've also got, I don't have it in front of me actually. I'm trying to look for it.
Yeah,
you've got. Go on, mate.
Yeah. So you can do it. Is it once per game? Oh no, you just can't do the previous banner as you did the last one. So the Banner of Doggador, all friendly Gundabad models count as being in range of a banner. The Banner of Gundabad, all friendly hero models on the battlefield may declare a heroic march for free. And then the Banner of Angmar, you get the Fury save basically on a 6, where the Berserkers get it on a 5. So you can choose one of those each turn, but not the same as the previous turn. So that's the Legion list, yeah.
I mean, everything getting a banner is so good as well, isn't it?
You can do that every other turn. You get a battlefield-wide banner.
That's so good.
But like in that list, for example, you can't take Azog on the Warg. So they've tried to sort of, which I like they're doing. Like they're trying to give themselves more levers to, pull on to try and balance things, right? Which is good. But I think I agree. I'd have liked to have seen him just gone to fight 6, and then maybe kept some of the things that made the profile nice. By him not, you could just make him not really OP to deal with by having him fight 7, I think.
Yeah, the thing is, if we just briefly mention Bulk, because Azog, I think overall has taken a nerf. We can all see that. Bulk, however, unless I'm missing something, looks basically the same.
The Bulk is 20 points more, but his ramp up killing thing takes 2 less models for the final part for Mighty Blow. Other than that, same profile.
So he, compared to Azog, if he's now mounted, like he's a lot cheaper, right? Because Azog mounted, well, you can't even take Azog mounted unless you take Pits, which has been nerfed heavily, and presumably Azog's Hunters. Yeah. So I just see people, if people are going to run Army of Gundabad, I can see people taking a mounted Bulk as a leader.
Washing machine Bulk coming out to play.
Coming out of retirement. With Bulk, that I guess having more heroes with like sharpshooter and things like that, maybe he's even more susceptible to losing the Warg. I guess compared to the White Warg, obviously that's a really good thing about it, is that it can take some hits.
But you can't take the White Warg in the Army of Gundabad.
Not right? In that one. Yeah.
So the choice, I think, will be Bulk mounted or Azog on feet. On feet. Azog on foot. He's on feet. Yeah, they haven't been chopped off yet.
And even if you do take Azog on the Warg, I was just saying that the Warg's more susceptible to damage, but now you can't share. You're only 1 fate on the Warg rather than the 2. Like you could spend both on the Warg to keep it alive and Azog on it. Where obviously now you've only got one. So and you can't use more of Azog's might to up your fate rolls. So definitely a huge change there. I guess. And also in the Legion, I believe you get a 5-up Master of Battle now as well.
Yeah, no longer flat 5-up.
So
yeah,
huge sort of nerfs, really. But then looking at the Gundabad troops, so they are now fight 4 natural.
Yeah, they've gone up by a point, haven't they?
Times on the pod that I'd have loved, but yeah, there's an increase for that.
I think overall Gundabad is interesting because what they've done is they've nerfed everything a little bit, but then the special rules for that army are so good now.
Yeah.
Like those banners and the horn are just so good. So I think that's going to be a real fun one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good changes.
Agreed. Okay, so I guess moving on here is some of the Hunter Orc stuff we could touch on. It's kind of in the same sort of list, but this stuff has been hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, Hunter Orcs are now 1 attack base, and then they get their second attack on the charge. It's obviously way worse 50% of the time.
Points. So
the heroes are also overall worse. So Thimble has lost the fight value, lost strike, and he's how many points more?
So he's fight 4, no strike, and he's 70. So he's 10 points more mounted.
Yeah,
he does get a +1 fight when he charges. That's only when he's mounted.
Yeah, and he doesn't get his through terrain rule whilst on foot, only whilst mounted.
Yes, while mounted.
And he's also lost a might point. So
but he's gained a will point.
He's gained a will.
Gained a will, hey.
Narzug is also worse. He can't take a mount. He's also lost a might point. Yeah.
So that's bad. Yeah, the shooter rule's still nice, but Yazneg has got a buff, isn't he, Sam?
Yeah, Yazneg fight 5, not fight 4. Still kept 3 might, which is nice. 55 points and an 80 on the Warg with Lance, which is definitely worse.
80 points on the Warg seems crazy high for Yazneg. Obviously, everything's getting an inflation, but
yeah,
80
points. He is 5-5 though.
It was crazy, but yeah, 5-5 is nice.
He does have a rule with Azog, which we don't know about really because there's no.
I just really wish they would have got rid of that rule. The amount of times I've used Yazneg, and it's just annoying that he has a special rule that you never ever use. Feels quite annoying. I wish they'd have just scrapped that. I get that it's something that is unique to him in the film, so I do understand why they kept it. It's just probably been used by 0.5% of people that have ever used the model. So
yeah, he does now also lose his lance when he falls off his warg, so he has to do hand on foot, which is
all the Yazneg players would not do because they would just use the lance. So
yeah, but overall, I mean, and Hunter Orc Warg Riders technically better, so they get the special rule of +1 attack on the charge plus a cav charge, so they're 3 attacks on the charge.
Yeah.
For 15 points, they're still maybe too expensive for fight 3, D4.
Yeah. I think they just tried to make it that it's not the same price as just taking a Hunter Orc on foot and a Fell Warg. So
yeah,
just make it 1 point cheaper, which
the changes feel more resemblant to the film because a lot of the time people have said this. They're a lot of time you see them on Warg actually chasing people down consistently, and these ones are better now. And same with like the captain. So the captain is now 4 attacks on the charge.
Yeah.
On Warg because he's 2 base +1 for the rule +1 for the bone for charging. So
yeah, they're still only fight 3. The Hunter Orcs on the Warg, so like 3 attacks on the charge.
Pretty
good.
Oh, sorry, the warriors. Yeah.
Yeah, but fight 3 is sort of it's still one of these fights.
Maybe a full mounted Hunter Orc list could go crazy.
Me,
God knows.
Yeah, okay, I think that will do it there for the Azog's Hunters. And also there's a list, as well, which has some like they get woodland creature.
Woodland creature. There's a +1 courage or something.
Yeah, +1 courage
when charging terror.
Charge terror within 6 inches of a hero. You keep the 50% bow. So there's some buffs there.
Yeah, it could be. I think it's brought it more in line for
which is fair enough. It's just a little bit different. So sure.
Yeah.
I guess one thing to look at here is the Necromancer, which I thought was quite interesting. He's 50 points cheaper. Big thumb.
And +1 attack.
+1 attack.
Dominant 5, which is good.
Yeah, dominant 5.
So he basically one of the main things to note is the unholy resurrection for the race. You can use the Necromancer's will to up that roll now. So roll double one,
Ooh,
or
that's nice.
if you roll a 1, you can spend a will point go up. So they're hard to kill in the sense that they can't. I think they only have one might, the new ones. Yeah, so only one might. So they have lost a might point each wraith. However, you can spend the Necromancer as well. Obviously, the Necromancer can still spend its will as fate, so you don't want him dying. So it's a bit of a balance to sort out there. But yeah, they're dominant too on each of those. So I don't really know if it's a nerf or a buff. It's just a bit of a change that I think we'll see how it plays out. But like the range of it also changes depending on how much will the Necromancer has left as well. So if he has 20 will points, it's 18, 10 to 19, it's 12. If he has 9 or less, it's 6.
I like that as he kind of becomes weaker, I guess.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
yeah, I like being able to use him more. I have the model, I really like it. The wraiths as well, like the Witch King, for example, is now fight 6 and has 3 might points.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So like, some changes there to the I haven't looked at all of them, but yeah.
Now the keeper is dog shit. Still.
It's gained an attack, but
he does get an
the
attack.
rest
2 attacks. No, sorry. 2 wounds, no fate.
Still 2.
Yeah, it's the same.
And he's 5 points more. So it's literally just an extra attack, but he's 5 points more. So, but he does kind of. So there's the rise of the Necromancer sort of Legion list is not just the Necromancer and troops now, where you get buffs. You get the troops as well. So they've baked sort of those buffs from the previous Legion into the Necromancer, and now they have some other buffs as well for the Necromancer. Sorry, he gets the 3 point of will. So he doesn't actually get the 3 point of will in his profile anymore. So if you take him outside of this Legion, he doesn't have the 3 point of will.
Yeah.
In the Legion. And then he can cast twice in the Legion as well. So you can sort of take a pretty normal sort of list that isn't just him and the Wraiths with Hunter Orcs, Hunter Orc Captains, Spiders, and Felwargs and things. So could maybe see some more of the Necromancer coming around.
Could be interesting. I'll be able to see how people use this.
Yeah, I will be trying it for sure. Maybe get a bat rep or something on the channel, which would be really fun. Okay, so moving on. We've touched on the Iron Hills things. Isengard, I guess, is what we could go to next. Any thoughts on, I guess, Saruman we'll kick it off with? We did kind of touch on him briefly in the previous emoji pod that we did. Any thoughts on Saruman?
Much worse. He's worse. He doesn't get his Lord of Astari, so he doesn't get his reroll. He has a cool rule with the beginning of the game, suffers what choose a hero -1 to resist test.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Casting values are still pretty good. Very good. Yeah, I mean he's just lost his his free or his reroll, which is pretty bad. And he's still 190 points on horse.
It's expensive.
Same thing though, basically.
Yeah. I guess looking at
in those armies that you went through on the previous video, some of those lists, he's got some pretty interesting rules.
Yeah, there was like a new spell,
like for lightning strike and all that.
Yeah, the fact that lightning strike is just bought. It doesn't matter how far away they are. Is so aids.
Yeah.
You have to be with it outside of 12. Like, it can't be 12 of your models. So you can't hit your own stuff. But you could just do it first turn of deployment and go, lol, that thing over there is having lightning struck on them. Everything is now gone.
Do you have to do it at the beginning of the game as well?
No, you can do it anytime.
Yeah.
So imagine recon, some models are about to get off. Oh.
You just keep it in the back pocket, yeah. You thought 18-inch spells were bad. So I guess for the rest of Isengard, so Berserker's a 5/5 now, which is cool.
Berserker's 5/5, yeah.
Berserker's spamming.
Lurtz. We've got to talk about Lurtz, surely.
Yeah, go
on. So he was 90 points before, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So for 10 more points, bear in mind, all the dwarf heroes went up for 10 points for nothing. Lurtz, 10 points more, he gets 5 value 6. He gets sharpshooter, so you can shoot into. That's shooting the horses, right?
Mm-hmm.
he also gets the 6-up thingy where he has a feel no pain.
Save.
And am I right in thinking he gets like a heroic combat, or is that the Legion?
That's in the
That's in the
Legion.
Legendary Legion.
Yeah, so that's why. Yeah, in this, like he's had some nice buffs. It's really in that Legion where he's.
He does also get 2 will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, 2
That's
extra.
1 will base normally.
Yeah.
So the way Vinny and I played Lurtz for about 2 years was we always thought he was 3-3-1. And the day Vinny realised that he was 3-1-1, because we just assumed it was the same as Theoden. The day he realised, he was just like, I think that was the day he gave up Isengard.
Yeah, probably. Wouldn't surprise me.
And then he took it again, and then then he did well.
So yeah, nice to see Lurtz get some buffs. But yeah, the Berserkers fight.
That's good.
Anything else of note with Isengard? The troops get shield wall, which is cool.
Crebain are not in the list, are they?
Crebain had been released
Yes.
as a profile, but I don't know if they're.
Aren't they in the Dunland list?
I
Maybe.
can't remember. I don't have it here. Yeah.
I don't know. But they do interact with Saruman, though, right? In one of the legions.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the white hand one where it's basically spam Dunland. You get Crebain. That Saruman can use Crebain as their kind of like the shade now, where they use them as line of sight and stuff.
Yeah. So Isengard, yeah, like Ugluk has gone up in points as well. He's got a new sort of rule with removing Uruks, and then he gives a buff, which is nice. So not too much has changed, really. I'm not sure there's that much.
Uruk have gained shield wall, so I think they've stayed. Am I right in thinking they've stayed the same points and just gained shield wall?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So they go to D7 now. If you've got them in rank and file, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Uruk are one of the models that they're not going to lose anything by people doing conversions. So Gundabad's, one thing to note is all of the Gundabads that people converted to have spear and shield now no longer can have that.
Like mine. Yeah.
Like mine. So Urukai are really beginner friendly. You can just take them from the box, bang, off you go.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we will leave it there for Isengard, and we will move on to survivors. So we're going to hand over to Mr. Grattan here. Can we have your few minutes synopsis on the changes to survivors? Let's hear
it. They've been made worse. To start with, so Bard is basically the same. He's 130 now, but he's 333 everywhere. He can the main basically some of the biggest differences. His where is it?
It's about the banner.
That's in I assume it's in the Legion or in the profiles of the. Basically, he gets Sharpshooter as a special rule, which is nice. He's only 130 points on foot, and he gets the bow already in his profile. However, if you take the horse and armor, you lose the bow. So the Sharpshooter rule becomes useless, basically. He does still have rapid fire, so it's do you take a foot bard with a bow and have him be an absolute machine, or do you have him on horse and then go that route?
Yeah.
Basically, overall, his 12-inch banner and +1 fight has gone down to 6 inches, so it's only 6 banner +1 fight for troops. All the Lake Town are D3, so obviously nerf.
No more OP D5 fisherman captain anymore at fight 4.
Well, he's D6 now, mate. Don't you worry.
Oh, is he?
Well, so captain, he's gone up more points. However, he went up 5 points since D6. Alfred's been changed. It's still, I think I'd still take him all the time, but definitely worse. So basically, you choose a single friendly model, Lake Town Hero model, start the turn, roll a D6, and you basically consult the table, see what the roll gives you. One, the same thing, you'd lose a point of might from that hero, and Alfred would gain it. The chosen 2 is the hero gets a will point. 3 is they get to reroll ones when making strikes. 4 is they gain fearless. 5 they get +1 fight, and then 6 is the normal. They gain a single might point. But this is for free every turn, and you can spend will to up or make his go up and down for the roll. So
Yeah,
it's definitely still interesting. Still adds flavor to it.
yeah, that's a different role.
And then the girls for Bard, I guess, isn't another thing. So Sigrid and Tilda. So within 6 inches of one of them, they get +1 fight, or Bard does. And within 6 inches of both of them, he gets to reroll a d6 in the duel. So basically a banner, which is what Bard lacked previously.
So it's not the combat, but you get a banner. So
Yeah. But then in the list, Bard gets Mighty Hero and Fearless, from what I remember,
yeah, Mighty Hero.
as well as he gets, when the girls go in combat, Bard can call a free hero at combat and must charge that model if possible to help out the daughter. So
and that's with Mighty Heroes. That's
basically you can't, and you have to take him on horse in that list. You can't not take. You have to have him as you can't have him as a bow. So you lose shooting power, but you gain, a mighty hero bard that can call a free combat with the girls. So I think it's harder to use overall because your banner's less. Your fight 6 for bard, which is still fine, but some of the other heroes will be higher fight. As well as you have to have the daughters in combat and risk them dying potentially if you combat with something happens to gain your bonuses. So I think it'll take more skill as a list to use overall. And Survivors already was one of the highest skill lists to play, I think, in general, because of all the little micro managing you had to do.
Yeah, I like that they've kept the interaction with Bard with the girls, and if anything, they've tried to increase that, just where you have to position them carefully.
Yeah,
where he is. I like that they haven't moved away from that. I think that's really unique.
You do also get Bane as part of the kids, as part of the family. So Bane's also 2 attacks within 3 inches of one of the girls, I think.
Okay.
Basically, Bane becomes a little bit better, but I never take. Bane was always a bit of a meh profile, so
yeah,
you basically get him for there's 60 points for all 3, which is meh. Is okay.
Shout out to the Lord of the Spins episode where I had to take Bane. Make sure to go check that out for an OP Bane list.
Gandalf is 2 attacks as well now, and so he can take this. He's in the list, which is better. I think that a Gandalf model is overall just better than it was. He's 10 points more, but I think it's fine. Hilda's gone up 5 points, which isn't great, but she's the same. Percy, I think, is a little bit worse. Yeah, he's lost a might point and stuff. They basically brought it more in line to what it normally was. Survivors was really good. Towards the end of this edition, it's definitely been worse because of all the terror, and Survivors doesn't really do well into terror as much as other stuff does because it's Courage 2 in Harbinger. So I am hopeful it's still going to be pretty good at high points where it normally was. I think it's just toned down, kind of like Hunter Orcs. I still think Hunter Orcs will be good at the points levels they're good at, just toned down so it's more in line with other lists, basically.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how the Legion is. So, okay, we will leave it there for Survivors. We will move on to Loth. Lots of people talking about Celeborn. The sort of
new kid.
Yeah, the highlights on Loth here. What do we have?
Okay, so I'll take over for Celeborn. I think he's an interesting one because he's now become 1 attack. You can't take any armor. 125 points. So, after the offset, doesn't look good. However, he does get a free will point per turn, and he's 3/3/3. He's got channeling, defense, strike, so he's pretty handy. Although he is unarmed, but he gets a transfix. He gets an aura of dismay. What was the new aura of dismay?
It's only for himself, though.
Aura of dismay is -1 courage to other people.
Oh, is it?
Because he causes terror naturally. So yeah. Enchanting blades could be okay, but it's on a 4, and you don't really have that many targets in their Loth list, right? I mean, Haldir is probably your best fighter now.
Orifin, but he's not in the book yet. So yeah,
Orifin and Rumil, we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But my favourite, Writhing Vines. That's the one where within 3 inches, people are in difficult terrain.
Yeah.
That's really handy. So he's this buffing piece. So he's got Transfix and Writhing Vines, which I think are the ones I would go for. Then Also, this is my favorite rule. I think, pretty sure on this one. It says friendly Lothlorien warrior models, both in bold. Now, the way bold has worked in the current edition is that is keywords, not a specific profile. So when we now look at the warriors, Lothlorien warriors are an actual type of warrior, but they're also the keywords for two types of model. So they are the Galadriel warriors, which have faction Lothlorien unit type warrior infantry, and also the Lothlorien warriors, which are the old wood elves, which are also Lothlorien warrior infantry. So within 3 inches, Celeborn gives them a +1 to wound.
Damn.
That is big.
For Loth.
There is a lot of these +1 to wound terror, like bubbles of killing power in these lists now that didn't usually
Loth
happen.
is now Thranduil's halls. Okay.
I mean, it's same as Minas Tirith with the Iralas.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think he's a very interesting profile, Celeborn now.
Yeah.
I'll definitely try him out, that's for sure. It's a bit sad that he's 1 attack unarmed.
Well, there's been lots of people saying the armored version is hopefully going to, because obviously they have the armored model, hopefully that might have a profile in the armies of Middle-earth, because obviously you see him in the robes and everything in the films. That's why this version is in the armies book, so maybe the armored profile still exists.
Yeah. Just quickly going through Galadriel, she's pretty much the same, except Blinding Light is now on a 4-up, and I think it's only for that turn, isn't it? You can't do the channel. Yeah. Cool. Other than that, I don't notice much different.
Yeah.
Compel on a 3.
Compel on a 3.
Was it a 4?
I've actually seen that a lot, where Compel and Transfix are the same cast value now.
Transfix was a 3 previously.
But as in, just on my lots of casters,
Okay.
If it was 3 and 4 before, now they're both the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the Mirror now has a 40 mil base. I put mine on 32. It's a 40.
Well,
no one put it on a base. I put it on a 32. I thought I was being clever, but no.
No. Okay. Anything else major for Loth before we move on?
No, I think
not really.
Okay. Moving on to Thranduil's halls. Not something I've looked at too much. Does anyone have the highlights?
Yes.
Yeah. Come on, Sam. Let's hear it. A few minutes on this one.
Thrandy is much cheaper. He's 130 base. Has take heavy armor for 10 points. He is fight 7 base. Good. He's shoe value 3 now, not 2. I mean, he can't take a bow, I don't think, anyway. So no.
Yeah.
Obsolete.
He's 3 everywhere, which is good. He goes up to D6 with heavy armor. Basically, on foot, you get, if he's outnumbered, he rerolls 1s when making strikes. So basically fainting.
Yeah.
If he's that's if he is on foot or the elk. But if he's on foot again, especially, you reroll everything, not just 1s.
Yeah.
Which makes him even more killy.
Yeah.
When he's also outnumbered, either on foot or not, if he kills both models, he gets to call a free combat next turn.
Yeah.
Good. Again, next one, he can spend a will point. Not if he's on elk, he basically causes terror with that will point. However, if he's on foot, he also basically any enemy model within 3 inches, Thranduil player can choose do a courage test. If they fail, they have to move directly away 6 inches, kind of like a Dead Marsh Spectre, or Instill Fear. Sorry.
Oh, right.
Very good.
One model, yeah.
And that's for all models within 3 inches.
All models within 3. Sorry, I thought you said you target one. Sure.
Yeah.
You choose one move, choose one move, choose one move.
Oh, no, pick them. Yeah.
So basically, Thranduil on foot is even more killing than he was previously, and is 25 points cheaper. He does have the crown,
but he has less attacks, doesn't he? He's only got 3 attacks.
Yeah,
sure.
Whereas previously he had 4 plus 1.
Yeah, going into thingy. So with the spear support in the Legion, he still gives +1 to wound around him. So you're basically you should be able to kill the 2 models you charged into if you charge 2 or charge 1 basically all the time. And the elk now basically gets the Impaler camel rule. So if it charges, it does a strength 4 hit. If it kills, you go again. So
might people actually take the elk? What do we think? No,
30 points, and there's so many bonuses for the infantry for Thranduil that it's not worth it.
Another edition of the elk not being too great. That's
Good call, but yeah.
but so I guess one other huge thing to talk about Horse of Thranduil is that in the book it does say that the Mirkwood elves are strength 4.
It's a typo, guys. It's a typo. Don't get your knickers in a
Is it a
twist.
typo? Is it? Is
Typo.
it?
It's
Palace Guard.
definitely a typo because they're the same points as like the Lothlorien and the Rivendell stuff, right?
Palace Guard is strength 3. The Rivendell, the Rangers are strength 3. Everything else is strength 3 warrior wise, apart from those.
Maybe they just really need to make a good margin on these
No,
Mirkwood
they do not.
elves next year.
So the question is, guys, post in the comments below, how long is it going to take for the errata to come out on the Mirkwood Elf Warrior?
We're going to have
I'm guessing
3 months
a month.
of James Goebel
Hopefully soon.
dominating the GBHL next year.
Something to note also, Mirkwood Cav get a +1 bonus, their fight and defense whilst within 6 of Thranduil. So fight 6, D6, very good. They're also a point cheaper because they're 16. They used to be 17 with the shield.
That's bonkers. They were already really good.
Yeah. The Elven Glaive is different. So it's an Elven Spear. However, whenever this model armed is engaged in combat and is not being supported, they might either gain a bonus of a +1 attack to their duel roll or +1 attack when making strikes. This must be decided before the roll takes place. So you could be charged and have 2 attacks to win the duel with just 1 model, or win the 1 model and then strike twice. Basically like shielding, but better. Very good. As well,
Yeah, very good.
Legolas.
Leggies stay mostly the same.
Legolas has been buffed. Who'd have guessed it? That guy didn't need to be buffed, in my opinion. So he is 100. He's 105 base, 125 with the horse. However, he can lead Palace Guard, has the sharpshooter rule. He's a 2+ shoot value now. If he's on foot, he can move 3 inches and he doesn't suffer -1 to hit.
Yeah.
He can still shoot at 3 targets with the normal rapid fire, whatever. And then he still has the hit a target. However, so 1 shot, but the model has to be in combat, basically. So you can shoot into combat and decide to shoot the horse because you've got sharpshooter.
Yeah.
Legolas can also do all of his shooting whilst in combat. So if you've been charged by a guy, you can still take 3 shots directly at the guy in front of you that is in combat, hitting on a 2, or you can shoot at the guy over there's horse that has charged 24 inches away from you and still kill the horse. You basically can shoot every turn with a strength 3 bow with 3 might behind it and still have the killing power of Legolas in combat.
In combat, because that was the thing before. Do you bring him forward?
Yeah.
Then
it doesn't matter. You literally send him with the
3
horse.
might there. Yeah, get it there. It's fine. It's no doubt.
It's absolute madness.
Send him in 5 inches on a horse. He can still shoot because he's moved less than half. Then you hit on a 3+ at pinpoint shot on the guy's horse, and then the horse dies, and you're in combat. And you can charge the model you can charge a hero with their horse, pinpoint the horse, then they can't strike because they can't make strikes against you because they probably haven't rolled a 6 on their Throne Rider. Then you can strike. Then it's just really good.
James Goebel going so as he runs into the next edition.
He's
love to see
20 points more. However, I don't know. I don't understand why this model is still this good. To be honest, he's going to be everywhere.
Everyone loves Leggy, so I guess they want to make him good, right?
Not going to lie, this is looking like the list for the beginning third of the year, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on next, we will go to Mordor. So it's a shame that Ashley Walker is not here for this one. He cannot make it tonight, but I guess although Sauron is the Lord of Mordor, obviously, I feel that we should start with Witch King being our channel and the amount of coverage you've given the Witch King. Who wants to kick us off with his changes?
Go on, Adam.
Yeah, so like the ring race, he's got sort of 3 options. All right, so when you take him, there's 3 loadouts in terms of Might, Will, Fate, and attacks, which is interesting. Means less choice, but there is still choice. So we've got to appreciate the fact there is still some choice here. He can be 80, 120, or 150 points, and if you take him 150, then he goes up to 3 attacks, 3 Might, 18 Will, 3 Fate. That coupled with Armored Fellbeast, Crown and Morgul, all the he's looking near sort of 230, 240 points, something like that. He's taken a lot of points up. Big hike. Crown of Morgul, this is probably the biggest change. No longer do you reroll, but it is a unique piece of war gear where you're actually within 6 inches, all enemy models trying to charge you cannot gain their fearless special rules. Okay, so say, for example, Dane, or you have some fearless troops or whatever, they still need to check courage test, with the exception of heroic resolve. Now, that alludes to the fact that heroic resolve probably does a little bit more than it does currently.
Yeah.
Additionally, once per game, start of any fight phase, the Witch King can basically set his sword on fire, and from his crown, connects to his sword, which connects to some other model. And until the end of the turn, any model that has suffered a wound from a strike made the Witch King is set ablaze.
I do think that's kind of cool. It's like, the bit where the sword's on fire, right? That's why they've got the model with the sword on it.
Yeah.
So it is like, again, they've tried to make it more about the films and such. But
Yeah,
not
it's good.
the crown as we once knew, how the mighty have fallen.
As well as the 6-inch black dart for all the Witch King lovers out there.
6-inch black dart as well. One thing I think is pretty cool is that the fell beasts, they have given them dominant 3.
Yeah.
Very cool. So
I mean, yeah.
we're just trying to make them more of a weighted thing on the table, I think.
And also, when a fell beast is 50 points, which hasn't increased, but a horse has increased by 10 points, the difference is now 30 points. So it's not, I think there's a good argument. I'd be tempted to take the 200-point Witch King, which, has 4 attacks on a charge, 3 with the fell beast.
Yeah. And yeah, it's good that they've kept the choice with the ramping up. Like, as the attacks ramp up, so does the will, so does the fate. Like, everything stacks up. You can't just pick and choose whatever it is that you want. But it's good they've kept the choice in there because that was a very unique part. So, yeah, Witch King. Okay. Will we see 22 of them at an event next year? Perhaps not, but yeah.
Also, Fight 6.
Oh, yes, Fight 6, sorry. Yes.
That is a big change.
Yeah, sure. Natural Fight 6, yeah. So what were the main changes with, say, Sauron, for example? He's dominant 10. I guess that's the main thing.
Yes.
Right. Is there any other changes?
He had something else, I'm pretty sure.
Flames of Evil, Strength 10 hits at ablaze.
He's got this Fog of Disarray spell.
Yeah. I think the Flames of Evil also was Strength 9 originally. I don't think it was Strength 10.
Oh, sure. Okay.
But that's it.
Still 400 points. Yeah, he's got the ring still. But yeah, he's dominant 10. So
dominant 10 is really good, actually.
So like whole ground, for example.
Yeah.
Kill him. Kill Sauron.
Yeah.
You literally have to kill him.
There's no choice.
Yeah.
So I guess with Mordor as well, just very briefly, like the Morannons, they can go up to fight 4, can't they? Which is really good.
Yeah.
They have like Hatred Man, don't they, now as well?
So it's just whilst engaging an enemy combat with a man model, they gain plus on fight.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So I guess with, say, like Rohan and Minas Tirith being pretty good, maybe like, more men around, maybe Morannons get pretty good up to fight 4.
Army of Gothmog, the comeback.
I've just seen the Gothmog profile though. Apparently he has been nerfed a fair bit.
Oh.
Apparently he's not that good. Actually, yeah, I've got it. He's got Master of Battle. It's on a 2+. Is that the lowest Master of Battle?
Yeah, that's the lowest by far
we've ever seen. Yeah, he's 120 points, 145 with 145 with Warg and Shield. He's still fight 5. Yeah, he hasn't really got too much going for him.
Has he got 2 attacks? 3 attacks?
He's got 2 attacks, sorry. Yes. 2 attacks.
Oh, poo-poo.
2 attacks, 3 wounds, 3-3-1. He's got the once per game thing for the 12-inch re-rolling, and he's got a 3-inch Hatred Man.
Now, Gothmog is a maggot.
They've just brought out that lovely new fucking model as well that they've got, on the page looking nice and glorious, but yeah, 2 attacks.
The Warg balls.
And
they are serious balls.
And and he has no strike.
Oh no!
What a rotten profile.
Yeah.
So he's got worse.
Camille Demansky crying in his chair.
Shout out Camille. Okay.
Yeah, Bill, you're not going to watch this, mate. I love you.
Yeah. And we will move on to the final faction we are going to discuss today. There are some others like Thorin's Company, Goblin Town, Ents. There's so much out there, but yeah, we can't cover absolutely everything. We are going to
Goblin
touch
Town, everything's gone up by a point. Move
on.
on.
And the scribe's worse.
Sure. Okay, Scribes West as well. We are going to touch on Rivendell, something that I know lots of people, myself included, my childhood army are not feeling too great about. Gilgalad having a fair amount sort of stripped away.
No strike.
No strike, no shield, no horse. No, you can still get the King's Guard. Were there any other main things with Gilgalad? No blood and glory. So, but this
Blood and Glory is gone as a rule, isn't it?
There's General Hunter, which is like if you kill a hero, I don't know if it's leader or hero that you get a point on my back, but yeah, basically.
Yeah. So a fair amount of things like, yeah, he's 175 points still. Yeah.
But you got to think about it. Every profile in the game basically has gone up in points, apart from Thranduil, right? And Gilgalad stayed the same and maintained that amazing fight 9 when every other model, yeah, sure, some have been bumped up from 6 to 7. But the fact that strike is different means that fight 9 is probably going to be enough.
Insanely good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's all right.
So yeah, he's just lost some kind of key things, but yeah, keeping that.
Yeah, no horse. Yeah,
it's a very unique thing to be in fight 9. So yeah, I'm glad he came. Arwen and Elrond seem like pretty sort of okay, pretty good.
Yeah,
Arwen's better.
Arwen's better for sure. Like kept the Wrath of Brunin, which is really nice. Strength 4, really nice. 2-4-2. You know.
Yeah. Kidan still has survived as well.
That's for Loth still. What? Sorry.
Kidan 80 points, by the way.
Yeah, he was.
It's 5 points less.
5 points less. Yeah. Obviously, the Aura of Dismay is no longer as we know it. That is so. Kidan not quite the same. Was there any sort of sorry? Were there one?
But I think something we've noticed overall is there's way less terror bubbles, right? Because terror bubbles were a negative play experience. So black numbs haven't been seen yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah.
They're not in any of these special lists, but they're probably going to be in armies of Lord of the Rings. Things like Thranduil doesn't create a 6-inch aura anymore. Terror.
Yeah.
I know he's got his dragon sickness thing, which is pretty cool. Dragon fire. Círdan's terror bubble gone. Like there's a lot of these terror bubbles that have gone, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, there was, by the way, there was a Games Workshop like reply to a Facebook comment talking about the Armies of Middle Earth book, and the profiles that are in that, it will say in those profiles which of the lists they can be dropped into. So
that's good.
We should know, say like Black Nuns, for example, which of the Mordor lists they will drop into. So all that information should be there in the Armies book. Elrond's Fight 7, which is cool. And then as well, like looking at just the Rivendell troops, like no buff in fight value. Lots of people were just not that high on elf troops, like the River, being tied with Numenor. Just, people were maybe expecting a little bit more from the troops. What do you think on that?
I think it would have been worse if other stuff has been bumped up to fight 5, but nothing has.
Yet.
Yeah, like unless you see Easterlings with Dragon Emperor, but like unless or a hero bumps up fight value, but I'd assume it might be only within 3 inches, but it's just the only elves and Numenor that have it. Dwarfs haven't been. Emperor might, but no, I think it's not as bad when nothing else has been bumped to 5 realistically.
Yeah. I guess I could have been a bit more widespread than we thought.
Yeah, maybe I guess it hurts because a lot more heroes are fight 6 base, so you'll have more heroes that are just killing elves for fun instead of having to strike against them.
And the Riv Knights have elven made lances, which is pretty cool now.
Yeah, gone down a point as well, right? Yeah.
So
very good.
Yeah. Good. Any other notes on Rivendell? Anything burning?
I think it's gonna be the last alliance is gonna be good.
Yes.
I think there'll be some solid combinations there. So we'll see.
trouble using. Yeah. So, any final takeaways? Anything to sum us up from those profiles or anything?
I don't think so. I think Fight 5 or Fight 6 is gonna be a premium. Fight 7 is sorry, but then if you can get Fight 6 troops, great. Thranduil and Rivendell, the only two right now, unless you can get them in Loth, but I don't know.
We haven't seen the Galadriel Court Guard yet.
Yeah, so potentially.
So there's still so much stuff to come out in the Army's book.
Yeah.
You would hope that's going to be within, say, like a few months after release.
I hope it's soon, if I'm honest with you.
You would really hope so.
I hope it's not too long, because otherwise I think the game will lose its momentum.
Yeah.
I think
people
will just,
Yeah, but very much excited. Obviously, it's all coming out in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah.
We'll get our hands on the books, be able to cover everything in detail. So we are going to be making plenty content here, bat reps and things, a lot more to come as we head into the new edition. Also, there will be live streams of the new edition as well from the tournaments that I'll be doing. So plenty stuff for the new edition. But that's going to close us out. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching another emergency podcast from the Gollum's Gamers.